Hello, I am DoctorTimeWarp, and this is Valkyria Chronicles. The category is New Game Plus. The timer starts when you click Start on a cleared save data file. So first things first that we're going to do, we are going to head to the headquarters and acquire all of the troops that we'll be using throughout the entire game. We want 1 scout, 3 shock troopers, 2 lancers, and a sniper. We want to then go over to the squad barracks and equip them. We only need to equip the 1 scout. We don't need to equip any of the shock troopers, because their weapons are good enough for the rest of the run. You might have saw that I didn't give one of the lancers the best lance that I could give them. That will play into effect in chapter 7 for this run. It allows us to complete that chapter super fast. I didn't have to give weapons to Alicia, Rosie, or Largo, who are the story-driven characters of this game.
Ready to go.
Because if you use them in a previous run, they keep whatever item they had equipped in that run. Their equipped items carry over run per run.
Yes.
This first mission here is super simple. It's shown as a sort of tutorial area. Teaches you about command points and shooting at enemies. So command points are those metal things at the top left of the screen. Every time you want to move a unit about, it uses 1 command point. And they can only use 1 action per command point. An action such as throwing a grenade, shooting, or healing. That all uses command points. When you run out of command points, the turn is over. And the enemies get a turn. We won't see the enemies take a turn too often, but we do have to watch them take a turn for a few missions. Another thing about command points is that tanks take up 2. This comes into effect in a couple of the later missions at the end of the game.
Ready to go.
Where we have to move our tanks about the entire maps.
Enemy sighted.
One nice thing about New Game Plus is that you have all of the best weapons and armor already unlocked. And if you keep them equipped, they carry over throughout the runs so that you don't need to keep re-equipping them. Which is one of the advantages New Game Plus has over any percent. You don't need to ever go back into the headquarters. You only need to go in at the start of the game to acquire your troops, and that's it. You can play the rest of the game. Everyone, shock troopers, scouts, lancers, and snipers are all of their levels are raised to the max, so you don't need to worry about leveling them up and acquiring the orders that come with them. I'll explain orders in the next mission when it is relevant. So right here, you might have noticed at the very top when the start of the new turn came about, you kept the command points that you did not use when you ended turn early for the last one, and you gained extra command points. So there is one benefit to ending turns early, is that you do get to use more command points the next turn. Have the potential to move more troops around in one go. So this mission is kind of slow. We have to sit around and wait for 2 turns while Welkin appears in the tank. When Welkin appears in the tank, we are able to issue orders. What orders are, they give boosts to our troops, whether to 1 troop or all troops, depending on what the order says. Now, each order also uses command points. They range anywhere between 1 and 3 command points used. So we have to take that into account as we're going through the missions. We have to make sure we're using our command points wisely and able to use orders effectively. We will be using orders quite a bit during this run. I think almost every single map we issue an order one way or another. Whether it'll be for safety or it's to clear a map in 1 turn. Okay, unfortunately that shock trooper got a couple of good hits on that watchman, so he might die next turn, which will lose us a couple seconds watching that animation play out. Watching the enemies die doesn't take as much time loss as it does if one of our town watchmen die, unfortunately. That was a nice shot, but unfortunately the enemy always has reinforcements coming in from the back. Convenience of the enemies. And yes, unfortunately that town watchman had to die. Well, sorry, retreated. So here, we'll issue the most broken order combination in the entire game. Demolition boost and penetration.
Destroying the target is your top priority.
What this allows us to do is it allows us to run up to the tank and just take it out.
This is an order. Aim for where their protection is weakest.
This combination allows us to take out enemy tanks with scouts, which you are normally not able to do. They normally just do about 1 to 2 damage per hit. But with the demolition boost, they're able to take it out. Makes a lot of missions super fast. Shock troopers are also able to take out tanks like that. That'll come into effect in the 3rd to last mission of the game. So a benefit to New Game Plus over any % is all those panels there, each one of them is a cutscene. And in any % you have to go through the mandatory ones in order to get to the maps. However, in New Game Plus, it knows that you have already seen it.
Split into 2 teams.
So when you start up a new
Offensive and
chapter,
defensive.
it takes you
Form 7,
immediately
move out.
to the first map of that chapter. So you're able to immediately get into the action. And when you complete that map, it takes you to the final cutscene
I'm on it.
of the chapter so that you are able to go to the next one really fast. For the chapters that have 2 maps in them, it takes you to the next map and then the final chapter. Nice, we were able to kill both in 1 shot. So the reason we take out these enemies here is each flag has a red zone around it. And in order to capture flags, we have to make sure that all enemy troops are out of the red zone. Once that happens, we are able to occupy flags and complete the missions. This mission has a neat little strat where we use a shock trooper to blow up a Ragna crate, which is sort of like a bomb. And that allows us to
Take down the bridgehead as
save some
quickly as
time by
possible.
not going
Squad
all the
7,
way around the
move out.
entire map. This is also the first mission of New Game Plus where enemies can start to do quite a little bit of damage, so we're going to defense boost our scout here to make sure that he doesn't die.
Brace up and get ready to defend yourself. I'm on it. I'll dodge everything you throw at me.
First thing we're going to do is we're going to run up here and we're actually going to grenade a wall so that we can get through it.
Spotted an enemy. So long. Spotted an enemy.
We're going to run up to this plank here and okay,
Spotted an enemy.
that's interesting. I've never actually seen that happen before where
Okay, I got
that
it.
blows up super fast, but I'll take it. Usually we have to stand off to the side and allow the shock trooper there to blow up the Ragna crate, but he did our job for us early that time. That was really nice of him.
I'm on it. So long.
So like I said earlier, you have to take out all enemies in the red zone in order to occupy the flag. So here we actually use the grenade launcher at the very end of the map to take out some of the troops so that we can just run up there
The
and
enemy supply
use our
base
gun
is
to
through
kill
these
only one of
woods.
them.
Squad
If we get
7,
lucky. If
move
we
out.
don't, we still run up there, but we'll have to take two actions in order to knock them out. As always, defense boost to make sure that
This
our
is an
troop
order.
stays alive through the thick of it.
Brace up and get ready to defend yourself.
Moving out. Enemy unit spotted.
Want to avoid that mine right there. There's two types of mines in this game. Infantry mines and tank mines. Infantry mines are those tiny mines you see right there and right there. We will actually be using mine boosts later in the game
My turn,
in order
okay?
to get farther. And the tank mines are large and they're round and they take out your tank's treads. And when the tank's treads are completely nullified, the tank's movement points go down to 0. So movement points,
Enemy
if you
sighted.
can see that bar at the bottom of the screen that's going down as Alicia's moving. Where's
Now.
should be good. Okay. Taking out the back one isn't bad. We can still take out 2 in 1 hit. So every troop has a movement bar that they use to move.
Moving out.
When you pick them for the first time, the movement bar is completely filled.
I'm a weapon. No, a shield. Think you can stop me?
And when you pick them the second time and so on and so forth, they lose about 25% of their movement points. That is set in place so that you have to utilize all your troops. However, in a speed run, we have ways of getting around that movement point restriction when the time is needed. Get here, and a desert encounter is a super simple mission. You just have to run to the end of the map, knock down one guy, and claim the flag. Another one we only need Alicia for. And this one we actually don't even need to defense boost her. Even if her resist crossfire potential doesn't trigger, she is still able to make it there safely. So that's another thing I need to talk about are the potentials. Potentials have a random chance of triggering. You saw the power of the Valkyrie and resist crossfire at the last mission.
Here we go.
No. Unfortunately, my controller ate my button press, so I accidentally picked the Edelweiss there.
Enemy unit
It's not
spotted.
the end of the
Enemy
world.
unit spotted.
We still have enough command points to get to the end. So back to the potentials. They have a random chance of triggering every time.
I'm a weapon.
There's different
No, a shield.
trigger points on how they go about. I'm actually going to heal here for safety to make sure Alicia doesn't die the next action. Even though she
Moving out. Enemy sighted.
even though she doesn't have to. It's better to play it safe than to be sorry. There are ways of getting around it.
Unit spotted.
There is an order to where you can awaken potential
I'm a weapon.
so
No,
that
a
potentials have
shield.
a higher chance of triggering. We will be abusing that later in the run so that we can get through maps in one turn and save a bunch of time in the process. Fortunately, lost a little bit of time there because I had to heal and I accidentally clicked on the Edelweiss instead of Alicia. So the battle at Barrios is an incredibly difficult mission casually. Probably one of the first ones to stump a lot of people. At least it did me when I was first playing this game. However, we only need 3 troops going through here. 1 shock trooper, 2 lancers. That's it.
That tank is our target.
We're actually
We
going
have
to
to
use
stop
the
it.
shock trooper
Squad 7, move out.
to take out all of the enemy infantry up at the top of the ridge there. If you remember when I said earlier in the game how Alicia, Rosie, and Largo keep their weapons.
Let's do this thing.
Rosie is actually equipped with the Rum, which is a DLC weapon. It allows for a higher accuracy, the highest accuracy for a shock trooper to acquire, which allows us
This place is a dust trap.
to take these guys out really safe and super fast too, like that.
Man down. Everybody be careful.
One of the
Stopping me.
unfortunate little quirks about this game is that female
Let's do this.
troops actually move slower and they shoot slower than male troops.
Let's do this.
I don't know why that is. It's just one of the ways that the developers programmed the game.
Target
However, it is still faster to use Rosie right there instead of having a male run up and get really close. So right here, we're waiting our turn because we actually want the Batamus to go all the way forward and destroy a wall. Destroying that wall will release its radiators. We'll be able to take out the Batamus in one turn once its radiators are exposed. So the Batamus will move 3 times. That was 1 time. This is the second. At the start of each time it moves, the Batamus actually has the potential to issue an order here. Maximilian has the potential to issue the orders to his troops. And it wastes about 7 or 8 seconds each time. 3 out of 3 orders is really bad RNG. 0 out of 3 is really good. And 2 out of 3 is on average from what I've seen. So Maximilian there, the one who's issuing the orders, is actually the main boss of the entire game. He is the leader of the enemies that are invading Gallia, which is the country we are defending.
Heed my words and no victory.
That's really bad RNG, unfortunately. No way to manipulate that. Just have to roll with the punches. So there's the radiators. When we were handing out the equipment to our troops, there was a reason that we gave one of the Lancers a sort of weaker weapon than the other one. And this is that reason why.
I hit hard.
We want to bring down each radiator to 80 hit points. Because if we bring that down, each one down to 80 hit points, and use a demolition boost on the tank, the tank can issue a shrapnel blast at a specific point on the Batamus here and take out all 3 radiators in one turn. The reason we don't just go around destroying each radiator in turn is because once one radiator is destroyed, the other 2 go down. And you have to wait for the Batamus to continue moving along and shoot down another wall before the other 2 radiators come back up.
This is an order. Destroying the target is your top priority.
So I'm going to be aiming for the left side of the ladder here with a shrapnel blast.
Fire!
Like that, and that'll take out all 3 of the radiators in one shot. There's a cutscene that plays after each one. And because we destroyed all 3 cutscenes will play in turn. After, I think it's the second radiator that's destroyed, the enemy reinforcements come in. Salvaria there brings in reinforcements. However, we don't need to worry about that
Roger that.
because the Batamus is weak and we can damage it right now without even moving.
Roger that.
There's the enemy troops
I'm stronger
up
than
at
I
the
look.
top right if you saw that. Super simple. I really enjoyed the fast strats that New Game Plus is allowed with this mission. The New Game Plus having the strongest weapons makes that mission a lot less of a headache over any percent. So this mission is one of my least favorite missions in the entire game. What happened here is that Welkin and Alicia fell down a cliff and they are separated from the rest of their squad and they are trying to reunite with them. However, Alicia broke her ankle, so she moves incredibly slow this entire mission.
My turn, okay?
And she also has
Together.
reduced movement points. We can get back a little bit of movement points with a event cutscene that triggers when we get near a flower,
You can stop
a
me?
healing flower.
Please hit.
We're
Line
actually
out.
positioning Alicia at a very specific point so that she can be just close enough to the flower event
we
to
go.
raise her movement points that Welkin is about to trigger. So Welkin's going to go to this side path here after this cutscene plays. And that little blue flower, when we view this event, raises Alicia's movement points. Just by a little bit, though, not a whole lot. And she will still move really slow, unfortunately. So then we just sit here and watch the enemies mill about in their hiding spots. The reason we pick Alicia first is because we have to use more command points to move her from side to side. Whereas Welkin only takes one, and Welkin has to be the one that initiates the event. So you want him there last.
My turn, okay?
Here is a neat little strat.
Can't beat the
We're
smell of
actually going to
fresh
be
soil.
running over the mine here. You can see at the bottom, Alicia's recovered about 25% of her movement points. Use that mine boost to go a little forward. Have to heal because the enemies at the end of the map will kill Alicia if you don't. Okay, let's see if I can get a little neat strat here. You can skip that spotlight if you're fast enough. Which I did. Sweet. Not being seen by that spotlight saves a little bit of time. You don't have to be stopped by it, for one thing. And you don't have to watch the cutscene that plays when the mortar
Enemy
comes
unit
down.
spotted.
I'm going to creep over to the right so that you don't trigger that. You want to wait here for this spotlight because you will not make it. And if you trigger the spotlight right there, it will kill Alicia, ending the mission. So just use up all of hers right there.
Here we go.
Go grab Welkin. He can easily
love
skip that
nature.
spotlight because his movement is normal. He can also skip this spotlight all the way to trigger the event here. This is actually the last flower we'll be using. We won't be using the third and final flower that's found on this map because it's a lot slower to acquire that than to just run to the end. This time, it doesn't matter if we choose Welkin or Alicia first. Just as long as we get to the end of the map, we are good.
Hostile sighted.
Alicia can make it to the end. There's really no way of bypassing these spotlights. The fastest way is to just run through them still.
Gotta love nature.
We don't have to see their mortar fires come down because we will be ending the map
My turn, okay?
this turn. However, Alicia still moves really slow, so we have to use 2 command points to get her to the end. That enemy right there is the one that I was talking about earlier. How he can kill Alicia if you don't heal after that mine boost. That mine boost is to skip that spotlight I was talking about. There's that flower up at the upper left right there. It's a lot slower to bring both Alicia and Welkin right there. Heal her final movement and come all the way to the end. It's faster to just go straight to the end.
Moving out.
So they aren't quite reunited with their fellow squad mates. We still need to bring Welkin to the tank. And we do that by utilizing 2 more mine boosts with the heal in between the first one and the second one.
Ready to go. Enemy sighted.
Doesn't matter what my cursor is on for this first command point action. It resets every action.
Ready to go. Gotta love nature.
You have to heal here. If you don't heal, Welkin will die from that mine boost. Or if you accidentally don't move your cursor and you shoot your gun instead of healing, you have to just forego this. Makes the mission a little more tight than what it is, because we're able to get here in 2 actions. However, if you miss one of the mine boosts, you have to get over here in 3. Which means you have to have careful positioning when you go over to the end,
Here we go.
so that your scout doesn't get attack boost down. So here,
Fire.
just take out the gate.
Here we go. Gotta love nature.
Only takes 2 shots from the tank. Want to position him carefully so that
Okay,
our scout isn't seen by that shock trooper there, and it doesn't take as much damage from the tank right there. Defense down is okay. We want to make a wide arc here so that he doesn't get attacked down. If he gets attacked down, we wouldn't be able to use the grenade launcher right here and blow up that shock trooper in 1 shot.
Man down. Everybody be careful.
If you get attacked down, the reason you get an extra command point, is so that in case you need to grenade him twice. So in this mission, the princess is captured by what was once one of our allies. It was We're positioning extra units there so that we get more command points in order to issue orders.
Get to the harbor. We stop them here. Squad
We
7,
actually have to
move
use the
out.
scout here. We can't use a lancer or the tank, because if we blow up the enemy tank here, the princess will also blow up with it. So we actually do have to use a scout to run around to the back. We won't be using the natural demo boost penetration combo, but instead we'll be using a demo boost and caution combination. The demo boost to destroy the enemy tank, the caution so that the enemy tank doesn't completely obliterate our scout.
This is an order.
Caution allows
Destroying the target is your
the
top
enemy tank
priority.
crossfire bullets to deal less damage than they normally would.
This is an order. Advance with caution. Stay sharp. I'm on it.
Unfortunately, we only have one action point to do it. So if you mess this one up, you really don't have a second chance. See, even with the caution potential, caution order, the scout is still being torn apart. However, that's also a super simple mission, nothing much to it. So here's a fun mission. We actually have to take the Edelweiss, which is the tank that Welkin utilizes, and take it all the way to the end of the map. I'm going to drop Alicia down here in case I get stuck on a lamppost or something and need to use a few more command points,
Our top priority is to get to the rendezvous point.
because Alicia
Squad
has
7,
the
move out.
added command points on top of her. I don't know if I talked about that earlier. There are certain units that have command points
Entering combat.
like tacked onto them. So you can see the Edelweiss in the top or left of its name as a command point marker.
Gotta love nature.
And what that means is if you have that troop with the command point marker on the map, you get an extra command action.
Entering combat.
It's super useful for missions like this where you want to play it safe and get an extra command
Gotta love
point,
nature.
so that in case you get stuck somewhere, you have a little bit of leeway.
Entering combat. Enemy sighted.
So I don't know if I explained this earlier. Welkin is actually the commander of Squad 7. He leads all of them from his tank, the Edelweiss. That's why in most missions, if the Edelweiss goes down, you lose it. Because what good squad can survive without its commander?
Underminer fire.
So we actually positioned the Edelweiss there and not any further, so that this tank doesn't shoot
Damage sustained.
the treads of the Edelweiss. Like I said earlier, if
Here
the
we go.
treads are completely obliterated, then the Edelweiss,
Enemy sighted.
the Edelweiss's movement goes down to 1.
Enemy sighted.
So here, oh, accidental button press. We're in a position that, so we take out the shock trooper in the back there. I was actually trying to get it so that it would also take out the shock trooper right here,
Here we go.
but I didn't aim carefully. It's not the end of the world. We're not going to kill that shock trooper. It's just going to waste a little bit of time.
Tank command.
What's more important is getting up to here and destroying this enemy tank here. So when you're moving tanks, even moving from side to side wastes a little bit of movement points. So you have to be really careful and precise on how you move a tank, because you don't want to waste too much movement points or else you might not make it to your goal. Here the Lancer is just going to shoot at the Edelweiss twice. And the shock trooper that I did not kill is going to run up to the middle of the bridge. He's not going to do anything, he's just going to run to the middle of the bridge. See, just like that. And that's it. And now we're going to take the Edelweiss all the way to the end goal.
Here we go. Enemy sight. Gotta love nature.
Tank command.
We didn't want to risk the tank shooting at our treads back there, because that mine in the middle of the bridge right there is actually a lot harder to dodge than it might look. 9 times out of 10, I don't miss it, and I actually get a little bit of damage thrown onto my treads.
Good work. Keep it up. Underminer fire.
Like right there.
Enemy sighted.
Not the end of the world. The movement points only go down to 0. That's unfortunate. He fell all the way down, so had to reload him.
Combat. Gotta love nature. Here we go.
With tread health and movement points, it's an all or nothing thing. Here's an interesting mission. There's actually 2 goals that you have to complete, one in front of the other. The first goal is you have to destroy a bridge. And the second goal is you have to blow up a bomb that destroys the bridge that the enemy tank, not enemy tank, but the enemy train is sitting on.
Our job is to make sure that
And that
bomb gets
train
set.
is preventing
Squad 7.
the
move out.
squad from leaving Fausen, which is the area that we are in right now. We have a neat little strat. Normally you're supposed to go up to the bridge and throw a grenade on it or shoot it with a tank. However, if you damage boost a sniper,
This is an order.
the sniper can actually take out the bridge that is needed all the way
Be
from
merciless.
the starting area up here. Well, after we move a little bit.
Leave it back up to me. I see an enemy.
When I aim it carefully so that she doesn't miss, she's able to see the little end piece right there and blow it up. That triggers goal number 1. Because of that, the elevator to the second goal opens up conveniently. So now we have the first instance of abusing awakened potential and defense boost.
You can do
Defense boost
Trust in
so that
yourself.
the scout Alicia doesn't die. An awakened potential here so that we can get a
This is
double
an order.
movement potential to trigger more often.
Brace up and get ready to defend
We have
yourself.
4 command points to use after issuing those orders
Okay.
to get to the end of the map. We only need double movement to trigger on 2 of them.
Enemy unit spotted. Think you can stop me? Enemy
when
more
double
with
movement
feeling.
triggers, no matter how many movement points you started that action with,
Enemy sighted.
whether it be the full 100% or just 25% of movement, double movement allows Alicia to move 100% of her movement action again, which is very nice and very convenient for missions like this. That was
You can stop me?
double movement trigger 1. We only need it to trigger one more time out of the 3 times in order to get to the end of the map
Enemy sighted.
and shoot down the bomb.
Enemy unit spotted. Can't beat the smell of fresh soil.
Okay, unfortunately it did not trigger there. However, we do have 2 more times.
My turn, okay? Can't beat this. You think you can stop me?
Okay, unfortunately it did not trigger there, so I'm going to have to save here in case we do not get the double movement on this last command point.
My turn, okay? Think you can stop me?
Resist crossfire is triggering a lot, but unfortunately double movement is not. So like right there, double movement did not trigger, so I'm going to have to reload the save.
My turn, okay? Think you can stop me? Once more
Okay,
with
there we go.
feeling.
Reloading one save is not the end of the world. It could be a lot worse. I have had runs where it did not want to load
Don't even think of
for
dodging.
5 times, which is really unfortunate sometimes. This mission is a fun mission. This is the D-Day equivalent of Valkyria Chronicles. We have to storm a beach, and there are hundreds of turrets shooting down.
Clear out the Imperial shoreline defenses.
This
Squad
is another
7,
mission where
move out.
we will abuse the Awaken Potential defense combo on Alicia. There are a ton of turrets around, so the defense boost is highly needed. So is Awaken Potential, so that Resist Crossfire triggers.
You can do this.
What Resist
Trust in
Crossfire
yourself.
does is it allows Alicia to take less damage from crossfire shots. It is a really nice potential to have.
Brace up and get ready to defend yourself.
My turn, okay? Can't beat the smell of fresh soil.
Stay sharp if you want to keep your head.
Think you can stop me? Enemy units
We do a little bit of weird movement right there because the turrets at the top
Enemy
of
sighted.
the cliff there have the potential to do a ton of damage. We do the weird little movement there so that even if Resist Crossfire didn't trigger, she would still take a little less damage.
My turn, okay? Think you can stop me?
So this is where it gets risky right here, all of these turrets.
Sighted. I'm a weapon. No, a shield. I'm taking extra special care.
Try to stay sharp. Let's all get back home alive.
My turn, okay? Think you can stop me?
Okay, it is a little scary that double movement isn't really triggering here.
Once more with
But
fear.
right there is nice.
I'm a weapon. No, a shield. Enemy sighted. Enemy unit spotted. Can't be
So the
distracted.
power of the Valkyr actually allows us to take out this shock trooper who's crouching in one attack. Normally,
Ready yourselves for the next.
the
My wounds are healing.
crouching doubles his defense and makes it so that we would have to use a different strat to take him down. However, because of the power of the Valkyr triggered, we were able to just use our weapon instead of having to grenade him out of the flag zone.
Please hit.
It's like we're
This is a nice simple mission. You just have to take a scout, run him all the way to the end, kill 2 enemies, and occupy the flag. Really nice that they put this in here between 2 difficult missions, because casually the Mulberry Shore is a little bit of a difficult mission, and then the next one after this, the Clash of Magyar, is a really difficult mission and kind of spooky, even from a speedrunning standpoint. But back to this mission. Want to do the good old defense boost on the scout as he runs down so that he doesn't get destroyed.
I'm on it. Spotted an
And
enemy.
yes, this is the same town that we were in at the very start of the game. The enemy has captured it, and we are here to claim it back.
Spotted an enemy.
Try to time.
Okay, I got it. I found one. Spotted an
Eliminate
enemy.
the enemy, beginning with their vanguard.
Here, we'll kill this guy from behind. We'll kill the other guy from behind, too.
I'm on it.
In order to knock them out of the flag zone and occupy this flag.
Enemy unit neutralized.
Like I said, nice simple mission. Nothing much to it. So the Clash of Magyar, an incredibly difficult mission. However, all we need in this entire mission is 1 troop. We just need Alicia. We'll have her run through this entire mission. At the first flag, 2 out of 3 things can actually happen. It's all RNG based. When you round the corner, Alicia can
Think you can stop me?
just shoot the enemy that's crouching, kill him, Makes it nice and simple. She can also have resist crossfire trigger, which would allow her to run all the way to the flag and then shoot them. Because the third thing that can happen is really bad.
Enemy unit spotted.
The enemy that's crouching can duck and make it so that Alicia completely misses.
Man down. Everybody be careful.
And when that happens, we have to reload the save that I'm about to make here after we end turn, so that we reload her movement points. And that's a convenient spot where no enemies can see us. If he ducks, we just have to reload because unfortunately she won't have enough movement points to be able to go to the end of the map and occupy that.
My turn, okay?
Nothing fancy. Welkin isn't here yet.
Enemy unit spotted. Retake.
Okay, that's pretty mediocre, but worse things can happen.
No, a shield.
End turn, so she reloads her
My
actions.
turn, okay?
Man down. Everybody be careful.
Occupy this flag, and now Welkin has arrived. This flag was actually causing those mortars to appear. Capturing this knocks out the mortar fire, so the tank is able to appear. Since Welkin is here, we are able to issue orders.
Damn it. They're pushing us back.
Which is good because we
Enemy unit
need
spotted.
the demolition boost on the tank that is sitting at this flag here.
Enemy unit spotted.
This is an order. Destroying the target is your top priority.
My turn, okay?
All we need is demo boost for this one. We don't need too much else. Okay, sweet. I positioned the shot so that it also took out that enemy right there. Saved a little bit of time on that mission, which was nice. That extra shot really did it in for us. Also made it so that we didn't have to worry about him firing at Alicia. So this mission has a really big break in it. So Alicia has awakened to the power of the Valkyr. The Valkyrie are an ancient race that have been lurking in the shadows, one might say.
Concentrate on taking their
And
base
their
down.
bloodline
Squad 7.
rarely rise up. And Alicia is conveniently, one might say, one of the Valkyrie. So she has awakened to her strong powers, and we do not control her in this mission. She gets her own turn to be able to do stuff. This is the only time in this speedrun that we'll see her use her Valkyrie powers. She uses them one more time in a cutscene that we used to get. We unfortunately never get to utilize these powers because they realize showing them off like this and then letting you use it would just be too much. So unfortunately we don't get to use these powers. We do get to move the camera around and see more of the map than we normally would, and get to also see the front of Alicia's character model. So now that flag in the middle of the map is just a bait. Once you capture that flag, 2 enemy tanks will appear in a pincer attack at the top and bottom of the map. And what we do here is we take this turn
Roger that.
to prep for the
I'm
next
stronger
one.
than I look.
We get our troops in position so that the next one they can take out the tanks quickly and efficiently.
Okay, I got it.
Where's that backup?
I'm not even winded here.
Okay, the double movement isn't completely necessary. However, it is nice. And we'll end here. Luckily, that tank is not a normal tank. It is a tank destroyer. And they want to destroy Alicia because they don't know who she is or what she is. Luckily for us, Alicia in her Valkyrie state does not take any damage. So we don't have to worry about that. We also don't need to worry about the Edelweiss being destroyed there because the enemy doesn't get another turn after this one. Yet one last time for Alicia to move, and then we will occupy the flag and destroy the enemy tanks. So we want to move our Lancer first.
I'm stronger than I look.
Into position so that she can destroy her tank immediately. We want to position her so that when we control her again, the camera immediately pans around her. We use Demolition Boost there so that we can immediately skip up to the front where Melville is. Instead of having to go through a few more button presses, it saves a little bit of time.
I'm on it.
Like I said earlier, that double movement really isn't necessary for this one. We would have had to wait one turn anyway to make sure that everyone had enough movement points to be able to get to their respective tanks. And here, conveniently, as soon as you occupy the enemy flag, Alicia's powers go back to sleep, and she falls out of the Valkyrie state.
Alicia!
It has overtaxed her body, so she has collapsed. Want to be too, don't want to press through that button too fast,
Divert the enemy's attention.
or else you can have the risk of Melville retreating, which is extremely bad.
I'm not even winded here.
See, this double movement, on the other hand, though, is a very good double movement. Allows us to get down to the tank faster, and we get to spend one less turn going back to the top of the map in order to get down here. We can get right onto the back here. Still takes 2 shots to blow up the tank back here.
Okay, I got it.
Woo-ha indeed, Melville. So we'll use the unit selection screen
Orders from
page,
the
I
boss.
mean, to pick Audrey.
Stronger than I
We positioned her correctly so that she just moves her cursor over a little bit and destroys the enemy tank. So Gearlandia won here. We are actually trying to recapture an enemy strong fort. Well, after a few more cutscene skips. We are trying to reoccupy an enemy strong fort that they have taken from Gallia that lies right on the border and is a major supply train. Naturally, though, we just use Alicia and Awakened Potential defense boost and open up the 3 switches that allow a
Squad 7,
train full of
move out.
Ragnite crates in order to blow up the entrance. There's really nothing much else to discuss about this mission. It's just a super simple one. Just having Alicia run
You can do
from one
this.
end of the map
Trust
to
in
the other,
yourself.
pressing a bunch of switches.
This is an order. Brace up and get ready to defend yourself.
Moving out. Can't beat the smell of fresh soil. Think you can stop me?
Alicia never needs to shoot anything in this mission, so I usually just leave it on the Ragnade
Enemy unit
in
spotted.
case something happens.
Can't beat the smell
Like one of the
fresh
enemies
soil.
get a few extra shots, or one of her movements, she doesn't trigger resist crossfire.
My turn, okay? Enemy
Keep an
unit
eye on the
spotted.
distance between you and them.
Once more with feeling.
I don't like their attitude.
Enemy unit spotted.
Okay, this movement is really tight because double move triggered there and
I
not
know we
earlier.
have a visual on the citadel up ahead.
I'm a weapon. No, a shield. Think you can stop me? Can't beat the smell of fresh soil.
Okay, still had enough movement to get over here though. Okay, so this next mission, I'm going to start explaining it now. We use only the Edelweiss and the Shamrock, which is the second tank we acquired in Falzen. We use the Edelweiss to throw a smoke bomb in front of an enemy. We position it carefully so that the Shamrock, with an attack boost order on it, can take down the target in just a couple shots. Ideally one shot,
Take out
but
that commander and claim Gearlandio.
it can be 2 or 3.
7, move out.
The reason we position the smoke the way we do in front of the shock trooper
Entering
there
combat.
position in front of him here so that the Shamrock can get sight lines to the enemy target.
This is an order.
When
Attack with everything you've
the
got.
Shamrock gets sight lines to the enemy and then goes
Way
back
ahead of
into
you.
the cloud of fog, that completely eliminates the potential for the enemy to duck during this. Okay, that was really bad shots.
Leave it to me.
Do that again though. forward to acquire the sight lines and disappear again.
Fire!
There we go. Those shots were a lot better. When the tank gets sight lines, the enemy can see them. But when the tank goes back into the cloud of smoke, the enemy completely loses track, and it eliminates the fear of Salvaria ducking, which if you don't acquire the sight lines, she will duck every time you fire. So this mission, I like to call the auto-scroller mission of the game. Every good game has a auto-scroller in it. We only need the Edelweiss.
We have to divert that monster away from the capital. Squad 7, move out!
Like Welkin just said right there, we have to divert the Marmota. We have to make it follow a certain path by blowing up Ragnite crates and destroying rocks in the process.
Combat.
Another simple mission, we just have to go down, follow down the line, shooting Ragnite crates, hiding in clouds of smoke so that enemy infantrymen don't see us, and waste turn actions. That's not the end of the world.
Here we go.
Just a little unfortunate.
Fire!
Okay. Got it on the second hit, so it's not that big of a deal. Move forward a little bit. We still have to take another action
Here we go.
to get in a cloud of smoke.
Fire!
What this does, again, it allows the enemy to not detect where we are. When they don't detect where we are, they don't take their action. And when they don't take their action, well, they don't waste our time. This is sort of why I call it the auto-scroller, because the Marmota moves a set distance every turn. And there is no way to speed it up so that it moves any faster.
Entering combat.
So here we want to position the Edelweiss.
Fire!
Shot it. Overcorrected it a little bit.
Entering combat.
Okay, it still got it on the second hit, so it's still good. We will hide in the cloud of smoke again here.
Here we go. Fire!
So that the enemies don't take their turn. You want to be as accurate as possible when you're putting your cursor down, because there is a little bit of a margin of error. Not on you, the person controlling the aiming, but the shot can go anywhere within the circle for the aim, which is why you want as much of the circle on your target as possible. Those little triangles represent a lot of mines. As you can see there are a ton of mines right there.
Preparing to take.
Filled with infantry mines and tank mines alike.
Entering combat.
However, if you hug the right side here, you'll only come into contact with one tank mine. Like I said earlier, only one tank mine is not going to be the end of the world for your treads.
Take action.
We've successfully diverted the Marmota for the first turn. Now we just have to divert him again.
Here we go. Minor damage sustained.
The reason we are diverting the Marmota is because it is on a track course to the capital of Gallia. If it reaches there, then it is all over for the Gallians.
Here we go.
We are trying to aim it out into the countryside.
Fire! Here we go.
Now we're going to shoot our final Ragnite crates to bring down the final 2 rocks that will divert it again.
Fire! Entering combat. Gotta love nature. Now!
Make sure to keep your distance.
I like to make sure that the back of the Edelweiss sort of evenly matches with the trunk of the tree there to make sure I am out of safety. And now we just have to keep ending turn until the Marmota is completely diverted. Conveniently, enemies don't see us back there, so we don't have to keep issuing a smoke fog around us, smoke cloud. Unfortunately, there's not much I can do to speed this up. We just have to watch the Marmota scurry around. This is the last time we have to end the turn, though. That mission's finally over. Now we can get to the final 10 minutes of the game, which is really good, in my opinion. Really fun. We got a neat strat here. General Jaeger makes a comeback. If you remember him, I forgot to point him out, but he was at the Cloden Wildwood when Alicia where Alicia had to use a grenade launcher on the flag and run over there. It was about chapter 4 or 5. So really early. And no, we haven't seen him anywhere else except in a handful of cutscenes. But we haven't seen him on any map. Conveniently though, his tank goes down to the age-old demo boost. Penetration combo.
This is an order.
The tried and true combination.
Where their protection is weakest. Just leave it to me. I'm feeling extreme. Enemy sighted. Enemy sighted.
We don't hurry. Run, please.
So we just have to take our shock trooper here, run it close to General Jaeger's tank so that we can take it down.
I'm feeling extreme.
Ultimate damage really doesn't mean anything when going up against a tank. Tanks ignore that sort of damage. It only applies to infantry units. We want to aim for the top here because it has a armor shell around the tank in addition to its normal defenses. And especially for this hit, if we aim for the top, we start taking out its normal damage, its normal tank health. If we aimed for the bottom, we would have been taking out its treads instead of its health.
I'm on my way now. I'm feeling extreme. Take this.
So now we have crashed the Marmota, and we are attempting to take out the Valkyrie Spear, a giant weapon that is sort of like the same one that we saw Alicia carry earlier. However, it is extremely giant, and it has the same defense as a tank, which means conveniently we can use the demo boost and penetration skills on it.
This is an order. Destroying the target is your top priority.
So a neat bit of random trivia here. Alex, the shock trooper here,
This is an order.
is actually the same voice
Aim for
actor
where their
who
protection
plays
is
Sonic
weakest.
the Hedgehog in the video games.
I'm on my way now.
Little bit of random trivia right there for you.
Enemy spotted. Enemy spotted.
You want to run up here. And we should just barely. Okay. I'm actually going to take out the left heat sink there. Normally I'd take out the right one, but I wasn't able to see it. Wasn't quite able to see it, so I'm going to have to run around to the other side.
I'm feeling extreme.
I'll be able to take it down from here. That lowers the shield on the Valkyrie Spear. So now we are able to destroy it with our weapon.
I'm on my way now. I'm feeling extreme.
Luckily, we are barely able to see it right there.
Why you? Just leave it to me. I'm feeling extreme.
Move back a little bit for
Take this.
a little bit more leeway here.
Just leave it to me. I'm feeling extreme. Why you?
And that's it. The Valkyrie Spear is destroyed. Now on to the final showdown. We are up on the top of the bridge, facing off against Maximilian. Maximilian has artificially recreated the power of the Valkyrie, except he has to
This is our
utilize
final operation.
towers in
Let's
order
end
to
this
supplement the
war.
power.
Squad 7, move out.
We have to take out the towers, the 3 towers first, and then we can run up with all of our shock troopers and destroy him. This is the best song in the entire game, by the way. One of my favorite boss battle songs of all time. First, we want to issue a all units defend
All of you,
order
focus on
so that
defense.
nobody randomly, everyone can die in this
Leave
mission
it back up to me.
if not careful enough.
I'm not done yet.
Okay, I'm actually going to make a safety save here because things can go wrong in this final mission. It is unfortunate, but it has happened before.
Rest easy. I'm on it. How about this? I'm just warming up. You're doing well. Just keep it up.
Maximilian can get a few lucky hits. It is unfortunate, but it can happen. We want to issue a penetration boost on Mika here.
Aim for where their protection is weakest. On my way.
Mika also has the potential to issue
Shoot
a
from here.
super damage bonus, which is unlikely,
We're doomed. Here I go.
but that's one of the main reasons why I made a
Awaiting
safety
orders.
save, because we want to take down Maximilian to a specific threshold
Die,
so
will I?
that he doesn't go all the way to the back. Because if Maximilian takes a certain amount of damage, he will retreat to the back. 3 more towers appear. That's too slow for my liking. So there is a way to take him out in one turn by utilizing everyone like this.
I'm on my way now.
by lining up all of the shock troopers that I picked out at the beginning of the game, we can actually take out Maximilian in one shot
This is an
after
order.
we lower his health threshold a little bit.
I want you to fire every bullet you've got.
Let's do this then.
With Rosie here as the final command action, everyone is lined up and ready to take their shot. I like to aim for his head. And that is done. The final time stops on the last hit to Maximilian, not on the operation complete,
Maximilian.
because there's nothing else after Maximilian is destroyed. So it's a nice, convenient way to really tie everything together. And yes, that is Valkyria Chronicles New Game Plus, played on a PlayStation 4. I have been Dr. TimeWarp. I hope you have enjoyed this run. And I look forward to hopefully playing this game at SGDQ 2018 this summer. Thank you.